Hello and welcome to Caching Waves. This is an update for Litecoin. Just wanted to go over the daily one more time so you get the larger view of what we're looking for. First of all, had a WXY down to the low, which we've been holding since June of 2022. Just a little bit on the price targets. Our W off our X wave came to the 1.382, and our ABC, second ABC, hit the 1-to-1 extension. So exactly what we were looking for there for a potential pivot. Off that, we had an ABC for our first A wave, looking for a B wave bottom here before we make new highs above this A wave. I'm looking into next year. That pattern can change many different ways, but that's just the simplest way to show what we're looking for. We're looking to complete here for our B wave and make a new high for our C. Now zooming in closer, this is our proposed high, and we're making either a WXY or an ABC as an expanded flat. We had 3 waves down for our A or W, 3 waves up for our X or B, and looking for either 3 waves down to complete this Y wave, which would have us complete after one more wave down. Like so, as in the ABC, where you have a wave here, B wave, and 1, 2, 3, working on our fourth, potentially in a triangle, and our fifth wave down to complete an ABC, and that would complete our WXY. If we're actually making a larger A, B, C, we'd then expect this gray count, in which case we'd expect another fourth and fifth to the downside to complete. Around the 786, that's around $50. So we'll have to wait and see which one we get, and things would get a little more complicated if we get this Y wave up here. But I'll cover that in a different video if we make it up there. I'm going down to the hourly. If you watched my last video, I was looking for this to make a triangle in our fourth wave, then fall to the downside, and we're still currently working on the E wave. One thing I'm not happy about is if we just fell from here, from this exact moment, and came straight down for our fifth wave down, I'll probably miss this trade. And reason being is I wouldn't want to take it at this point until we drop below the D, and my stop would be at this high, which would become the E, and the risk reward is only 1.3 to 1. That's not good enough for me. I like to get close to 2 to 1 at least, and I prefer to get 2.5 to 1 plus on my trade. So I would miss that trade, and reason I would take profit there is that's the 1.618 extension of this first wave 1, 2, and you know our third usually comes to the 1.618. That would also be the 1.618 extension. There you see an orange of this WXY. So there's a lot of confluence in that area, and we're already through the 618 retracement of the entire move to the upside. So as you can see there. So at the moment, there's no trade available. I actually think we could likely get this scenario as a WXY, and all that would look like is we'd either get a triangle as a X wave or an ABC and a flat. We get an A, B, C, D, E, and then we break to the upside in 3 or 5 before further downside. But I'm gonna have to wait and see how I want to take my entries on this. I will keep you up to date on that. But I would probably hedge either way. I did this before in a trade, and it worked out pretty well. And what that would look like is if we come here up to this level for our E again, up to the 786 of this C wave, you can see there in orange. If we came up here, I potentially, well, most likely take a short from here, stop at the C wave, and then I'd target that 1.618, which as you can see is a much better risk reward, 4 to 1 plus. But what I would do is take that short, and then as we came back down, this would end up being a B, C, D, E if we were going the upside. So imagine this is the C wave in the triangle. I would try and get as low as I can to that C, as close as I can to enter a long on that C, on that E leg, stop at the C, and targeting the 1-to-1 extension up here around $72. So that's also about a 5-to-1 trade. You can see if we get that next move, that's probably what I'll do. Open a short, stop up here. If we start coming down, I'll leave that short open, and then I'll take a long to hedge the other way just to make sure I get the trade. Because one thing you'll notice in Elliott Wave, if you follow multiple people, which I noticed in the past, now I just do my own thing, but what tends to happen is when everybody sees the same thing, the opposite happens. You'd be very surprised how much that happens. I'm sure if you watched others cover Bitcoin over the last couple weeks, everybody was probably short. Again, I'm just making an assumption, but there's a couple people I check into that I respect just to get their perspectives. But pretty much, I think like 95% of all Elliott Wave people covering Bitcoin were short last week. And I'd imagine I was one of the few outliers that was long. So just like market sentiment, you know, when everybody's bullish, you want to be counter trend. You know, you've heard the term when your taxi driver's telling you about Bitcoin, it's time to get out. I see the same thing happen in Elliott Wave. So I would encourage you to trust your own gut on these things, because this is just as likely to get something like this and then further downside as getting this and then downside. It's just as likely. So if you're not aware of both scenarios and how you can potentially strategize a trade, you're going to miss a lot of potential trade setups. Anyway, sorry to go on a tangent there. I just wanted to give my perspective. And again, I never say I'm correct on things, okay? The market's going to do what the market's going to do. And Elliott Wave is about finding the likely scenarios and getting the best trade setups available for those potential scenarios. That's all it is. There's no 100%. There's no guarantee. It's just finding the best trades possible and getting on the right side of it most of the time. So that's the way I'm going to trade it, guys. If we drop from here, I'm going to miss it, and I'll probably look for a trade long from down here. But if we come up for this E, I will take the short, stop at the top of the C, targeting that 1.618. I won't wait for the break because I'm planning on hedging long. And if we start to come down, one thing though is if we come up here in 3 and we like fall off a cliff, I might not grab that long. You know, it's all indication of what this wave looks like. I might just leave the short from that point, lower my stop to break even and let it run. But if it seems like both scenarios are possible, say we get something like this, and then we sort of grind like this rather than drop sharply, because, you know, at the end of a triangle, you expect a pretty fast thrust. So if this is the E, we know it should be just dropping off a cliff. But if we get something like this, I can be like, okay, this is possible now too. Either one is possible, so I should probably take them both. And during this whole area here, be pretty much up a little bit, I believe, because I'd be short in here and long from here, so I'd be up a unit or two within this area till one side stops out the other. So that's what I'm looking at for Litecoin, guys. Looking for this to come up, take my short, either thrust down to our 1.618 around $52, or grind sideways, and I'll open my long, stop at this low, and let the market decide which way it wants to go. But I will lower my stops on that E wave once I get there. I just wanted to give you guys the update on that. And if this drops from here, I'm going to miss it, but I will get a trade set up down here. So make sure to check out my other trade setups if you like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all this, because I will leave all this up to date. And thanks for watching.